Hey, what's up everybody? Hammerheart Metal Reviews here once again. Today we are picking up a series that I had started last year where we're going to revisit some past years and go through my favorite albums from that given year. For this series, I really try to focus on like milestone years, if you will. And today we're going to be talking about albums that are celebrating their 25th anniversary, my favorite albums from 2001. So if you were not watching this series last year, you can go back and check out the past editions in this that I did. And generally when I'm doing these, I'm doing either like a top 15 or top 20, depending on how that year was looking. I don't want to do a bunch of honorable mentions because this will just go on forever. So today I was able to whittle this down to a top 20. It was very tough even just to get to those 20 because there are so many amazing albums from 2001 that I can't believe these are actually turning 25 this year. It's a little bit nuts. I'm having fun doing this series because it's a good way to look back and kind of see and compared to previous years. Like back in 2001, many of these albums may have been on my list if I made a list back then. I mean, I was only 17 years old. A lot of these I may not have heard back then, so they've crept their way in over the years. Many of these still would have been on there because a lot of them have stayed with me for the last 25 years. But yeah, some of them will be new additions. So go through the same exercise at home. Make yourself a top 20 from 2001 and try to go back in time and see how much your tastes have changed, because that's kind of the whole point of doing this, and hopefully to help you discover some new music that maybe you haven't heard before. And as usual, I want to get your picks down below. Let me know what your favorite 20 albums are, or however many. Give me a top 10 from 25 years ago. But enough talking. Let's get into this. Here we go. Kicking off my list in 20th place with Falconer and their self-titled debut album. So if you're unfamiliar with this band, this is some folky power metal from Sweden. This band was formed from the ashes of the band Mythtine, which is another great underrated band that you should definitely go check out. Mythtine was more on the like folky melodic black metal side of things, but then some of the members had wanted to kind of get away from the harsher singing and get into like more of a power metal style while still retaining that folky edge, and that is exactly what this is here. Great soaring vocals, excellent songwriting, and just songs that are infectious. This is a super underrated band. If you're unfamiliar with them, go check out this album. A song, for example, probably my favorite on the album, Mind Traveler. All in all, just a great band and a great debut. Up next in 19th, Borknagar with Empiricism. So a band that I've been a fan of for a very long time. This is progressive black metal from Norway. This was their 5th album and the first where it brought in Vintersorg on lead vocals. They had always had excellent vocalists, and Vintersorg definitely fits into that category. He's very unique with his delivery, and this album is very unique as well. It goes many progressive directions, trying some different experimentation. Like, this is not straightforward black metal at all. This is not like my favorite Borknagar album, probably not even close, but it's still very well done, and it was a great way to like bring Vintersorg into the mix, into the fold, if you will, so that he could bring kind of his signature progressive stylings mixed in with Borknagar's and really crafted something great here. It's the start of a great collaboration. If I had to pick a favorite track here, maybe The Genuine Pulse is a really good one. All in all, a solid album. Up next, Alas, with their one and only album, Absolute Purity. So this is some progressive metal from the USA, female-fronted band, but what originally drew me to this band was that on guitar, it features Eric Rutan from one of my favorite death metal bands, Hate Eternal. Of course, he's now in Cannibal Corpse. He has done tons of producing over the years, but so take that like brutal death metal background and then bring it into something completely different. Like, this would not be what you're expecting at all, but the guitar playing is very technical and these songs are unique, and with the female vocals and the progressive stylings of this album, like, you can't compare this to Hate Eternal. It's a completely different beast here. It's completely different sound. Like, if you go into this thinking you're getting death metal, you may be sorely disappointed, but just go in with an open mind. Great tracks here with great vocals, Endlessly Searching, Quest for Serenity. Really a hidden gem here if you're unfamiliar with this project and anything I just said sounds like it might be up your alley. Strongly suggest you go check this one out. Up next in 17th, with Krisiun and their album Ageless, Venomous. So this is some Brazilian death metal. This is their 4th album, and in my opinion, possibly their best album that they ever did. I don't think they ever quite matched this on subsequent releases. Their early stuff is great as well, but the guitar work here just really shines. Like, they're only a 3-piece, but the guitar playing here just really drives home these songs. You could say the vocals are a little bit monotone, but the drumming really suits the music as well. Just constant blasting, and it goes along with the great rhythms, and just like the constant tapping and solos, it just makes a great death metal record here. You've got great songs like the title track. If you've never heard this band before, just go check out the title track. If you're not into it, you're probably not going to like them. Dawn of Flagellation, another good one. All in all, a solid death metal album. Up next in 16th, Heavenly with their album Sign of the Winter. So this is some French power metal. This is their sophomore album, and I really felt like they really grew into their sound here on their second album. It's nothing against the debut. The debut was solid, but they really took a huge step forward. And actually, the album after this, Dust to Dust, is even better than Sign of the Winter, in my opinion anyways. But Sign of the Winter is the one we're talking about today, and it is a great goddamn power metal album. Another one that I feel is super underrated. Not very many people talk about Heavenly when they're talking about their favorite power metal bands. Maybe it's the band name that turns some people off, but get past that because the musicianship here is absolutely excellent. The vocals are high pitched, and just like the way he can wail, it's just very unique, and it suits the music perfectly. You've got some great keyboard parts, you've got killer solos and guitar work. Awesome songs like Destiny, the title track Sign of the Winter is great as well. All in all, another underrated power metal album that you should go check out. All right, we're into the top 15 now. In 15th place, Melechesh with their album Djinn. So this is a hard band to describe. I'll say like blackened Middle Eastern folk with some hints of thrashy death metal in there as well. Originally from Jerusalem, this is the sophomore album. And the man behind the band brought in Proscriptor from Absu to play drums on this album, which instantly has me excited once you see that and hear that. Like, the drumming here is top notch. Obviously, that's the only way Proscriptor can play. But yeah, so this would be for fans of a band like Absu if you are unfamiliar. But that being said, it still has that Middle Eastern folky vibe that really gives it some uniqueness. Yeah, one of their best albums for sure. Maybe not my number one. Maybe the follow-up Sphinx tops it a little bit, but I don't know. It's pretty neck and neck. This is a goddamn killer album. Go check it out if you haven't. Up next in 14th, My Dying Bride with their album The Dreadful Hours. So a band that probably needs no introduction here. UK Death Doom legends, bringing in their gothic flair as well. And to me, this is one of my favorite albums by My Dying Bride. Maybe that's not everyone's favorite album, but I absolutely love this one. They've kind of gone through some ebbs and flows in their careers. Not every album was a hit or a winner in my eyes. Some of them quality varies a little bit, but this one is top notch. Easily one of my favorites by them. I mean, you've got the 1-2 punch to open this album of the title track, and then the Raven and the Rose. It doesn't get much better than that in My Dying Bride's whole discography, in my opinion. Like, yeah, you could pick out some single songs, but this album just through and through is a solid offering. That's why it's in my top 15. Up next in 13th, some more power metal. There's a lot of power metal from this year. I think that's just a lot of what I was into back in the day, and the best of the best still stayed on this list. And up next is one of the best power metal bands, Rhapsody, with Reign of a Thousand Flames. So Italian symphonic power metal legends. By their standards, this album's actually pretty short. It's only 40-something minutes, whereas most of their albums are usually an hour plus for sure, but there's still some absolute standouts here. They just tried something different. A couple long songs with a couple interludes, and then some shorter length songs as well. Like, the title track is a short song, but it's killer. But then the two long epics on this album is kind of what it's all about, with Queen of the Dark Horizons and The Wizard's Last Rhymes. Like, come on. Does it get any better than that? Goddamn great album. One of their best for sure. I'm sure you don't need me to tell you about Rhapsody, but in case you're unfamiliar, go check this one out. Up next, another very underrated band, Dark Fortress, with their debut album Tales from Eternal Dusk. So this is their debut album. This band is from Germany, and at this time they played melodic black metal, pretty much straightforward melodic black metal. They kind of morphed into more of a progressive black metal band later in their career, but this era of the band is the era by them that I like the most. This is easily my favorite album by them. It just has that like late 90s sound. I know we're talking about 2001, but it still has that late 90s melodic black metal sound. Like think bands like Dissection, and you'll kind of get the vibe of what they're going for here. And just the songwriting on here, it's super catchy and infectious. You got songs like Crimson Tears, Pilgrim of the Nightly Spheres is awesome as well. Really front to back, this whole album just kicks ass. An easy choice for my list, but one you should go check out if you are unfamiliar. Up next in 11th, some more power metal. Gamma Ray with No World Order. So one of my favorite power metal bands, especially in this era of the band. This is when they were just putting out solid album after solid album, just setting the gold standard. Like they couldn't miss at this time in their career. Maybe some later albums weren't quite on par with this, but this one was still pretty close to on par with like Land of the Free, Somewhere Out in Space, Power Plant. This was right after that, and it just continued in those footsteps, and it's still goddamn great. German power metal done right, like only Kai Hansen can. I mean, the guy's a guitar god in my eyes and can't do much wrong. Like, I've been a huge Kai Hansen fan for a very long time. But yeah, this album, full of great songs. Lake of Tears, Dethroned Tyranny, Heaven or Hell. All in all, just a solid power metal album. Just missed out on my top 10, but any given day, it could be in there. We're going to get to my top 10 right away. I'm just going to take a sip of water here, and then here we go. See if you can guess some albums that are coming up. All right, in 10th place, more power metal. I said this year was very power metal centric. The top 10 is not all power metal. Don't worry, there's still some other genres in there. But it's starting with some power metal with Sonata Arctica and their sophomore album, Silence. So this is some Finnish power metal. This is another band that's kind of had some different eras and different quality throughout their discography, but this early era is the stuff that I absolutely love by them. Whether it was their debut Ecliptica or this sophomore album Silence, it's goddamn amazing. This is probably my favorite album by them. It's just full of great songs. You've got the keyboard solos to match the guitar solos. Amazing songs like Wolf and Raven, San Sebastian, The Power of One to close it off. Like all in all, absolutely outstanding slab of Finnish power metal. Had to be in my top 10. Sticking in Finland, up next, going with Ensiferum and their self-titled debut. So this is some epic folk metal. At this time, on their debut, it still featured Jari, who later left to form Wintersun, but he was still here on guitar and vocals at the time. If you're unfamiliar with Ensiferum, which I'm sure you're not, but it's like melodic death metal with hints of power metal and, of course, heavy dose of folk metal. Epic folk, extreme folk, however you want to classify them. This one is just, they came out of the gates firing. Pretty much every song here hits the mark. Wind Rider, Guardians of Fate, Token of Time. The whole damn thing is great. They got the clean sung choruses that you'll be chanting along to. It's got the great aggressive screaming parts as well. Oh, a great debut. Easy choice for my list. And a little known fact about this album, on keyboards on it actually features Henry Sorvali from Moonsorrow and Fintroll at the time. So I don't know if you knew that, but little hidden fact there in case you did not. All right, up next in 8th, more power metal, Kamelot with Karma. So this is some US progressive power metal. This is their 5th album, their 3rd to feature Roy Khan on vocals, and to me this is like his shining moment. He's just really on top of his game here. Not that he's not on the other albums, but there's just something about this album that I can't quite put my finger on. They really nailed their sound. It's not just about Roy Khan's voice. The songwriting here is just top tier as well. They just really brought everything together. There's enough variation from song to song that it's not just one style of song. You've got the typical ballads, you've got the slower paced or mid-paced stuff, and then you've got the fast ripping songs as well. Probably my favorite Kamelot song, Forever, kicks this one off in style. Other great songs like Wings of Despair, the closing trilogy, the Elizabeth Bathory trilogy, absolutely awesome album. Easily my favorite by this band, and one that was an easy choice for my top 10. All right, up next in 7th, one of my favorite black metal bands of all time, Summoning, with Let Mortal Heroes Sing Your Fame. So Austrian epic atmospheric black metal, really the originators of this very niche style of black metal, and no one does it better than them. I feel like this album is a little underrated in their discography overall. When you hear people talk about their favorite summoning albums, this one is rarely mentioned. I mean, it's tough when pretty much every album by them is a goddamn masterpiece. And I wouldn't even say this is my absolute favorite summoning album, but it would be in my top 3 or 4 for sure. It's just a very solid album. I shouldn't even say for sure. And I'm like thinking in my head, I'm like, oh, but that album's really good too. So never mind. But nonetheless, this album is goddamn solid. You've got one of my favorite summoning songs, Farewell, to close off the album. Other great tracks like South Away. It just has that Middle Earth vibe and atmosphere down to a T. They're really comfortable in their sound at this point, and it's just a masterpiece of an album. Up next in 6th, Lost Horizon with their debut album, Awakening the World. So this is some Swedish power metal, another band that I feel is severely underrated. Could be because they only released 2 albums before they disbanded. I feel, in my opinion at least, this features one of the best power metal vocalists of all time, Daniel Hyman. His range is just insanely good. Once again, it's not just about the vocals, but that's really the shining star on this album. The songs themselves are still great as well, but these vocals, oh my god, so goddamn good. Favorite tracks here, Heart of Storm. The Kingdom of My Will is absolute epic to close off the album. World Through My Fateless Eyes is great as well. Like, you will be trying to sing these notes. I definitely cannot hit those high notes at all. But yeah, it's a lot of fun to try, and it's a great album. All right, we got 5 more to go. My top 5, this is where it got really tough. These 5 are some of my favorite albums of all time that just all happened to be released in 2001. So there's been a lot of power metal on my list so far. I've got one more power metal album that's going to be right now in 5th place. One of the best power metal albums of all time, Avantasia with the Metal Opera Part 1. So German power metal founded by Tobias Sammet from Edguy. At the time he was still in Edguy. He's no longer, the band's just not really active. But he wanted to do something more grandiose and epic and bring in a ton of different vocalists. And that's how this project started. I think originally it was going to be a one-off. Obviously, Avantasia is still going to this day. Quality of the albums has kind of varied over the years, but this one, to me, is where it's at. This is absolutely his masterpiece. And it's like, how do you craft an album and like compose these songs to bring in so many different vocalists, whether it's Kai Hansen or Michael Kiske, Andre Matos, David DeFeece, Timo Tolkki. Like, you've got all these guys shining in different moments of this album, and you still make time for yourself to sing as well. But just the songcraft here is goddamn amazing. Songs like Reach Out for the Light, Farewell, Sign of the Cross, The Tower. Easily one of the best power metal albums in my opinion, and easily one of the best albums of 2001. Up next in 4th, Moonsorrow with Voimasta ja Kunniasta. So some Finnish blackened epic folk metal. This is their sophomore album. Actually, their debut also came out in 2001, so I could have easily put both of these albums here. I was trying to limit to 1 per band. That's not really something that happens too often, a band releasing 2 in 1 year. Suden Uni, their debut, would have definitely been in my top 20 as well if I was listing more than 1, but I decided to just pick 1. So I'm going with the sophomore album because I think it edges out the debut a little bit. This is just full-on epic as hell. Like, that's the best way to describe this band. At this point, they still had like a lot of bouncy, folky melodies that are a lot of fun, but then they know how to like darken their sound and give it that blackened edge when it needs it as well. And there's just so many goddamn good songs here. I'm going to butcher the pronunciations for sure, but Sankari Hota, Kilan Pasa, couple of the highlights here, but really front to back, this album is amazing. If you've never heard Moonsorrow before, this is actually, I think, a good introductory album to their sound, because it's maybe before they were writing like 20-minute epics. The songs are still long here, like 7 to 8 minutes, but maybe not the 20-minute epics that are harder to digest as a first-time listener. But yeah, if you haven't listened to Moonsorrow, please change that. Easily one of my favorite bands, and this is one of their best albums for sure. 3 more to go. In 3rd place, Opeth with Blackwater Park. So Swedish progressive death metal. Feel like in the eyes of many, this is their best album. Not to me personally. I don't think it's their best album. There's a few others I prefer by them. But that being said, I still absolutely love this album. I love this era of the band. at this point, they really didn't have any bounds on what they could do on an album. They weren't afraid to experiment. I mean, you've got the crushing heavy side of their sound, but then they're not afraid to throw in a song like Harvest, where it's just acoustic and beautifully sung. Like, they're just, the way that they compose these songs, there was no one else doing it quite like them at this time. There's been lots of imitators since, but honestly, this era of the band, it's just top-notch songwriting. Michael Ackerfeld's vocals are so good, whether it's the harsh vocals or the clean vocals. It's just a masterpiece of an album. Picking favorite songs here is tough, but The Leper Affinity, for sure. The Drapery Falls is probably one of my favorite all-time Opeth songs, so I'll call that one out. Bleak is great as well. Really front to back, a masterpiece. It's only in third place because the next two are two of my favorite albums of all time that just both happen to be from 2001. Give you a sec to try to guess what those are. Literally two of my favorite albums of all time are coming up. All right, this was hard to pick the order here because, like I said, even if I was doing a top 25 of the last 25 years, these might be both in the top 5. These albums are that good. In second place, Absu with Tara. US blackened thrash metal. Quite frankly, this is just an absolute masterpiece. If you don't agree, then that's your problem. I don't know what else to say. I've talked about this album so many times. You got Proscriptor's drumming, which is so insanely good on this album. Some of the double kicks and blasts here are just so technical and fast, yet still keeping it in control. It almost sounds like he's going out of control, but it's just like it's so precise and goes with the thrashy black metal riffs. The vocals are unique and different, and just the epic songcraft and the story that this album tells. Like, to put this whole concept together is just so unique and amazing. She Cries the Quiet Lake. Listen to the double kicks at that one part in this song. Like, it's so fucking good. Proscriptor is a god on the drums. Stone of Destiny, possibly my favorite Absu song ever. Four Cross Wands. This is another album where I could just list every song as being highlights because that's how good this album is. Honestly, if you haven't listened to this, you need to change that. If you have listened to it but you haven't revisited it in a while, change that. Go listen to it. It's a goddamn masterpiece. So, putting that much praise on it, that's only in second place. I still got one more album to talk about. What could be even better than that? Vindir with 1184. So, Norwegian melodic black metal mixed with some folk. Honestly, one of my favorite all-time bands. This is probably one of the most listened to albums in my collection over the years. Like, this one just never wavers. It's always going to be a top-tier album for me. I don't care how many times I listen to it. It's just that infectious and catchy and good. These melodies are forever ingrained in my mind, and I absolutely love it. R.I.P. Valfar. I mean, he left us 4 masterpieces. I think every single album he did was top-notch. This is either my favorite or second favorite. It's always a toss-up between this and Arntor, but I'll give this one the edge for today. I mean, Arntor's not from 2001, so I don't need to have that discussion right now, but oh, what an album. The closing track, Journey to the End. You've got the epic black metal to start it, and then it goes into almost like a techno, dancey, electro beat to close off the song. Like, who else was doing that at this time? And it works. It really works. It's such a unique way to close the album. Other great songs like Destroy, The Spirit Lord. Literally every song here hits the mark. I'm putting it number 1 for a reason. It's one of my favorite all-time albums for a reason. Go listen to it if you haven't. Enough talking. I want your picks down below. Let me know what your favorites of 2001 were. And until next time, Hammerheart Metal Reviews out.